Hello crocheters, welcome to Crazy Cool Crochet, and we are going to make another crazy cool crochet project. And today we're working on this crochet color block poncho. It's something a little bit different from your typical poncho, and it's made in these neutral earthy colors, and I'm using Lion brand wool ease. It's a number 4, and yes, you can use pretty much any number 4 for this particular project. I'm usually real specific about the yarn, but you can pretty much use any number 4. Now I am using the color Thrush, Oatmeal, and Linen. We'll also need an eye hook or a 5.5 millimeter, scissors, and the yarn needle. And this is easily customizable for larger sizes. The tutorial here is going to be for a size small, and it will fit an extra small to small. For the additional detail for how to make the larger sizes, everything will be in the description area below. You have to open up where it says show more, or it will have a little tiny V, like a little arrow, next to the name of the video. Open that up and you'll get all kinds of more detail, plus all my links for the blog, crazycoolcrochet.com, and for all my social media links. So go ahead and open that up. Now, just to give you a quick overview, all right, this is one of the panels, and you need to make 2. Again, this is for the size small. And we have 3 blocks going this way, and then 5 going up. So if you want to make a larger size, for example, for a size medium, you're going to add another block this way. So over here you would add another light color block, and then one more row. Well, at the top you would add one more row of the 3, or you'll have 4 for a medium. And then for a size large, you would need to add one more square, and then another one at the top. And then for the extra large, you would add another block down here, and then another one going up, another row. For a size 1x to 2x, you would add another block going across and going up. It's that simple. And we are working with squares that are 17 single crochets across and 20 rows up and down. So 17 for each square, 17 single crochets and 20 rows for each color, each block. And we're going to start with the lightest color with a chain of 17 chains. And then we bring in the middle color for another 17 chains. And then the darkest color for 18 chains. We need 1 extra chain on the last color block. Right now all we do is single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So we skip that first chain. That's why we had the extra, the 18th. And then we start a single crochet in the next chain, and 16 chains across. So that was 1, 2, work for 16. If you need help with the beginning stitches, and we are doing this in entirely single crochets, but if you need help with that, I'll leave a little white box right up above that will take you to the beginning tutorials. But real quick, all you do is enter the hook in the next chain, pull up a loop, pull the yarn through. You've got 2 loops on the hook. Pull the yarn through both loops, and that's a single crochet. Okay, so now we've done 16 single crochets. So now for the 17th, we're going to start that 17th in the same color. You've got your 2 loops on the hook. Now drop that current yarn to the back and pick up the next color, the middle color. And you will complete that single crochet with the new color. And then you will single crochet into the next chain. Now what you want to do through the entire project is tug on the previous color, the previous strand, just a little bit to tighten everything up. And you'll see as we go along why we do that. So now go ahead and do your 16 single crochets. Okay, now for the 17th, again, we start number 17, 2 loops on the hook, drop the current color, pick up the next color, which is already right there waiting for you. Pull the yarn through, tug on the previous color, tighten it up a little bit. And now continue with your single crochets, and this time it'll be 17 all the way across. Okay, that was 17, and now chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to do a single crochet in each single crochet below. So you'll have 17. But again, we're only going to work the first 16, and then we bring back the next color. Now, keep in mind, you're going under the 2 strands. If you look closely, the row previously completed makes a chain at the top. So you're entering your hook under the 2 strands that make up a chain. Okay, so I've completed 16, and now we're going to start number 17, 2 loops on the hook. Now you're going to bring the current color forward, because this is going to be the wrong side. So you bring it forward and pick up that next color, and then complete that single crochet, and then tug. So you can see here it's all very loose. And if you leave it like that, then from the front it's going to just look like a mess, and the colors will not blend easily. And again, you'll see that as we go along a little bit further. You'll see the difference that it makes. But in the meantime, just tug it a little bit on both colors. Okay, so be careful where you're entering. You're going right into the next chain. So that's number 1 of this next color. And again, do 16, and then we'll change colors. Okay, now start the 17th single crochet, 2 loops on the hook, bring the yarn forward so it stays on the wrong side, then pull up the next color, pull it through to complete that 17th single crochet, tug a little bit, and then start your next single crochet. So you'll complete this row with 17 single crochets. Okay, this is 17, chain 1, turn, and then continue, starting in the first space. So again, you'll work for 16, and then we'll change colors. Okay, now here's 17. And this time you're going to drop the color to the back to keep it on the wrong side, because now we're on the right side over here again. So you'll pick up the next color from the back, and complete that 17th single crochet. Give it a little tug, and then start your next row of single crochets. And this is it. This is how you will work the entire pattern. So all you really need to be careful of is keeping the yarn to the back on the wrong side as you're working along. So go ahead and continue this for 20 rows, changing color exactly the same as we have done. Okay, when we finish the 20 rows, we'll be on the wrong side. And now we're going to bring in the next color. So we're starting the next row, so we need a different color for the color blocks. And before we do that, we can actually cut off the other two yarns. So just make sure you leave a tail, I'd say about 4 inches long, because you need to weave that in at the end. Okay, so before we cut off this color, the darkest color, we're going to attach the new color. So now let me bring back the first panel so you can see all the different colors. Okay, so now this is the right side. And we started with the lightest, and the medium, and then the dark. Now because we're on the wrong side of our current panel, this is the dark. Turn it over, and there's our color scheme. Okay, so here's that. Okay, so here's that first panel again. So we're going to just flip this over so that we're on the wrong side, the same as the one that we're currently on. So now the next color on the next row is the lightest color. So the lightest, and then the dark, and then the medium. Okay, so now we're going to attach the lightest color. So we did 16. We're going to start 17, just as we have been. 2 loops on the hook. Now complete that 17th with the new color. And chain 1, and then turn. Now we'll just continue the pattern exactly the same. We're going to start with the single crochet in the first space, and then keep going across. And of course we can cut off that darker color. And so you can see the color scheme. On the first row, we started with light, medium, dark. Then the second row, medium, dark, light. The third row, dark, light, medium. Okay, so refer back to this to know where to change colors for the rest of the panel. Okay, so that's row 1, row 2, row 3. Now row 4, we start the color panel again, or the color row, the color scheme with the light, medium, and dark. So there's row 1, 2, 3, 4. Light, medium, dark. And then row 5, medium, dark, light. So now we're on row 2 of the color blocks. So that's why we're on the light color. And then when we switch colors over here, we're going to attach the dark color. And then the third color will be the medium one. And that's it. So just follow that color scheme for 5 rows of the color blocks. Each row, each color block will be 20 rows. Leave a tail. Start number 17 on that current color. Throw the yarn to the back. And now bring in the dark color, the next color. To complete number 17, tug on the yarn. Every time you're tugging, you're only tugging when you're changing colors. Okay, so now just continue. Okay, once we've got the 2 panels completed, you can see how it is forming the poncho. We are going to attach on 2 sides. So let me show you how we situate the panels. Okay, so this is how we want to situate it. So we've got the one panel long way this way, and then the other panel going a long way up and down, and they are sitting perpendicular to each other. And this is where we're going to seam, one seam, and we'll take care of that first, and then we'll fold it to finish the other seam. Okay, so you're going to be using your yarn needle and a length of thread. Now I would suggest, just for the sake of it looking as nice as possible, where you can, I would use the same color yarn. So for example, right here I would use the light color yarn for the seaming. Over here, I guess you don't have that option. And all you're going to do is use a simple whip stitch. And I'll show you that detail in a minute. So what I want to show you is how we are going to lay it for the second seam. Okay, so once that seam is done, you can see where you would fold it over. And of course you're working on the wrong side for the seaming. And just to show you how this lays, again, for the seaming, you will bring this panel over. And this is where you'll seam. If you turn it like that, you can see the shape of it again. Okay, so let's go back and start seaming. Okay, so with the wrong sides out, just take your needle, insert it in the corner under 2 strands on each panel. Just bring it through. I like to tie it. Just to secure it better. Okay, there we go. So now simple whip stitch. So you're just going to go through 2 strands on each side again. You're going over. And that's all you're going to do all the way across. And then tie it off when you get to the end. Of course, now make sure that you are matching up the squares. Even though the colors are not matching up, that's okay, just match up the squares. So then just tie it off when you get to the end, and of course weave in your tail. Now that the first seam is done, let me show you how we do the second seam. I'm going to turn this over. So now we need to take care of that seam. So we need to flip this inside out. So there's that first seam. So we're going to take this panel and turn it. Just flip that little top part here. So you're matching up this corner right to the center in the neck. So you're taking this panel and you're going to fold it all the way down until it meets at the bottom center of the poncho, the 2 corners. And then these 2 corners are meeting up here. There's the neck. Okay, so now we're going to seam this side. So basically, we'll call that the shoulder. Okay, now that the seaming is done, I actually had a hard time finding the seam. It blends in so beautifully using the whip stitch. The seam is practically seamless. Very cool. Okay, so now the next thing to do before we finish off with the fringe is just to add a quick little border of single crochet along the neck. That's just to clean up the edge. Okay, so I'm going to call this the front with the 3 blocks, the dark blocks in the center. So then I will start in the back corner. I'm going to turn this around. Alright, I'm going to work with the medium color yarn for no particular reason. And right side facing, insert the hook into the center. Pull the yarn through, do a chain to lock it in the same space do a single crochet, and then a single crochet evenly spaced, as evenly as possible all the way around. And again, try to go under 2 strands. Avoid going into the actual spaces so you don't create gaping holes. So try to find a way to go under 2 strands. Okay, when you come back to where you started, just slip stitch into that first single crochet. And then chain. I like to do 2 chains. And then tie it off. Leave a tail to weave in as if you don't have enough to weave in already. Okay, and then I like to squeeze it down nice and tight to create a really good knot. And then that knot will be hidden when you hide your tails. Now another tip while you're doing your single crochets is don't space them too far apart. Keep them fairly close together. And the reason is that for this pattern, the neck is already rather narrow. So if you make your single crochets spaced too far apart, it's going to tighten up the neck and make it even smaller. And you don't want that. And so there's your border. Cleaned it up really nice. Now we'll start working on the fringe. Alright, now before we add the fringe, we want to weave in our ends. At the very least, we want to do the ends that are on the edges. Okay, so now there's a couple different ways that you can weave in your ends. And one way is if you've got a long enough tail, go ahead and insert it into your yarn needle. And then you would situate this a little better. Bring it through several strands, one strand only, so that you're not going through the front. And then you come back the opposite direction, again under one strand at a time. And then again the other way. There we go. And then you would just cut it off. And a lot of people are happy doing it that way. Now the way I usually do it, because more often than not, I forget to leave a tail long enough, I take a hook smaller than what I've been using, and I bring it again under just one strand, bring it through, and then try to get one more. Okay, that's too tight, and now I'm going under 2, so that's not good. So let me try over here. Okay, so now I'm just going to bring it through with a chain, and then I squeeze it down, and it creates a knot. And then you can tie that off. Okay, so go ahead and weave in the ends along the edges so we can get started on the fringe. Okay, let's get rolling on the fringe. Now what I want to do with this project is match up the color of the fringe to the square. That will give you a really pretty finish. And the fringe should be about 3.5 inches long after you trim it, so it's nice and even. And if you've never done fringe before, it's fairly simple. Okay, so take an object. I'm just using an old little address book. and wind the yarn around. And you'll be doing this a whole bunch of times. And then you'll cut it at the bottom. And now I'm using, for this project, 2 strands per tassel, with right side facing up. Fold the strands in half, insert your hook into the panel, place the 2 strands on the hook, pull through, pull up a nice size loop, and then grab all the strands and pull them through the loop, and then tighten it gently, and that creates its own knot at the top. And that's it. And then just trim the ends so that they're nice and even. Now, if you want, you can shake things up a bit. If you don't want to add the fringe all the way around, and of course you're only doing the edges, you can choose to maybe just add the fringe on the one side of the front and then on the other side on the back. That would be pretty unusual. So you've still got some fringe, but it's not overwhelming. Entirely up to you. And then that's it. That's it for the project. I hope you enjoyed this. Now make sure, if you do like my tutorials, please subscribe. Click that little red button on the bottom. You can even click the little bell, and that will notify you when I've got another project out. That would be super helpful for me. Crazy Cool Crochet is my only source of income, so every subscription is really helpful to me, and I appreciate it so much. Head over to the blog, crazycoolcrochet.com, for more free patterns. You'll find your way in the white space down below to my other links. And look around here on YouTube. I've got so many other ponchos, really cool ponchos. So go ahead and take a look. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you.